Welcome to Module 1, Unity. This lesson is the core of all the lessons that you will receive because we're going to be talking about the unity of the family and the great attack that has been on the family historically. The family unit is the oldest institution on earth. Yes, it is. It's even older than our government. But yet there's little teaching on how to be effective in a family, how to maintain the unity, and most importantly, the significance of the family. The family dynamics play a big role in how families get along, how families function, and eventually the family's functioning bleeds out into our society. And we all become the victims or the benefactors of someone's family of origin. This is an important topic. And if you are watching, that means you are concerned about the family. That means that you are investing in the unity of the family. That means that you are going to leave here equipped and able to reduce the risk in families, risk management, and also to increase your ability to navigate through conflict. So here we go. Let's jump right in. Our learning objectives for our unity is assess the factors that cause division. Then we're going to understand the roles in the family. We're going to identify tools to build unity. And then we're going to explore biblical teachings about unity. So when you leave here, you're going to have some practical skills and some understanding of the family unit. Whether you are a pastor, whether you are a family member, or whether you're a coach, these skills will be applicable and you'll be able to share them with the people that you have influence with. We're going to use a vignette because I wanted us to hear some family issues, and we're going to work from vignettes. And I'm also going to give you some applicable information, like I stated. But I wanted to give a family example so that you can hear. Sometimes we learn better when we hear objectively what someone else is going through. And my goal is that eventually you'll hear something and it'll be like eureka or aha, because these are some of the same challenges that we encounter as family members. We are all dealing with something in our families, and I hope that you will have a universal understanding that you're not alone in this fight against this war against everything that comes against the family and to create unity. So let's think. Let's talk about it. What makes a family a family? There are many ideas of family, and they're changing the roles daily. So we know that there can be a nuclear family, which is a mom and a dad. And we know that there can also be a blended family. And there are also variations. There's just been variations of alternative lifestyles. But for the purposes of this lesson, I'll be talking about two family types: single parents or married families, traditional husband and wife, or blended families. And within those blended families, what makes a family are family values, love, commitment, forgiveness, boundaries, and validation. Every family needs to establish a value system. And the value systems keep the family in good relationship, and it keeps the family in good moral health, and it keeps a legacy of interacting and what's important. It establishes the morality that the members will go on into the world and share with the society and our community. So core values are very important. And whether we establish them or not, families are replicating values that they learn in their home, whether it's drinking, smoking, domestic violence, whatever, poor communication. All of these moral lessons are being taught. So it's important that you sit down and establish core values. It's also important that each family has love, because what love does, it gives us permission to be human. It gives us the patience that we need. It gives us the kindness that we need. It gives us the sacrifice so that we can become a unit. It gives us what we need to consider one another. Love is an action word. It's not just an emotional feeling, but in the family, it is a necessary tool because it helps to endure suffering, times of misunderstanding, and it helps build one another. Commitment. Commitment is so important because sometimes you're not going to feel like being a family member. Sometimes people want to give up. Sometimes it's difficult because people are not perfect. We make mistakes. We don't get it right the first time. And we are developing. We are evolving. We are coming to be our best person. And the goal is that we are with people who give us permission to grow and become our best selves. So commitment is very important. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Again, the forgiveness piece is all about the fact that no one's perfect and we don't want to live in moral superiority where we don't understand that people are developing and that people are growing and learning, and we all grow at different rates. It's almost like in school, people matriculate differently, people get different grades, and for whatever reason, everyone is working at their own capacity. And with that in mind, it's going to take forgiveness because you will disappoint someone. I will disappoint someone. Someone will make a mistake. Someone will veer off and create some dysfunction or some maladaptive act in your family that causes you to really have to look at the forgiveness component. You cannot be a family member if you're not willing to look at the forgiveness component. You would literally have to go to Mars and live alone or be by yourself, and then you would still have to forgive yourself if you were in the mountains. So it is impossible to have a unit and to have a cohesive family without forgiveness. And then there's boundaries. Boundaries are love lines. They create information to help us to respect where I begin and where you begin. Boundaries are property lines. They help us to appreciate that we're all unique and we're all different, and we come together as a family and we decide to share our love with one another. That's the beauty of boundaries. And then there's validation. Validation in psychology, it means that you respect, you can see, you can hear, and you can understand someone without agreeing with them. It just allows the other person to be considered and to be recognized as an individual with different thoughts, different feelings, different emotions, and just their individuality. So when families don't have validation, people feel invisible, disrespected, and that causes a breakdown. So those are 6 core elements of a family unit. We had values, we had love, we had commitment, forgiveness, boundaries, and validation, right? And so we know that the family is a sensitive topic. The unity of a family becomes sensitive because society is suggesting that we replace our family members. And it's because of the pain that is endured sometimes in family. But like I said, once you receive skills that help you to navigate through families, then you're more likely to understand the dynamics and how to function in a family, and you can model it and you can teach people. Our vignette begins with the Brown family. I wanted to have a focal point, and I'm going to read to you a little bit about the Brown family, and we're going to dissect it. The Brown family, Miss Susie and Mr. Bob, are having trouble with their family dynamics. They report the following issues. Family infighting with Susie's family of origin. Susie's parents are divorced, and as a result, they have to plan special events separately with her parents. Her 4 siblings are split between the parents. 2 of the siblings over here, 2 of the siblings over there. Her 2 brothers are closer to her mother, and her sister and Susie are closer to her father. Susie is in the middle, and she does try to mediate and have a relationship with both of her parents, but finds herself in the middle of the family feuding. Susie's paternal grandmother left Susie a home worth $6 million, y'all. This is where the plot thickens. And her siblings believe she should share it with them and it has caused jealousy and resentment between them. Currently, Susie's husband, Bob, is expressing frustration about the amount of time, effort, and money being contributed to Susie's family of origin. Bob and Susie have 5 children and Susie believes that Bob is too harsh on them. She also doesn't like that Bob questions her spending habits and her time with her family. Bob comes from a Christian home, they're a military family, and he prefers structure and also prefers to spend time with his parents, who happen to be Christians who have been married for 50 years. He and his 2 sisters get along well, but Susie has a difficult time with his family of origin. She feels judged and misunderstood when conflict arises with Bob. And when that happens, Susie threatens divorce. She threatens divorce and verbally attacks Bob until he shuts down and leaves the house. He refuses to see their pastor about their issues, although he's frustrated and he doesn't want to go see a therapist. Susie is usually too busy or too tired to do things that build stability in their family because she's devoting so much time and attention to managing and healing her family of origin, or she's volunteering time at the church. Bob is trying to ignore all of the dysfunction and frustration, but he is becoming exasperated. So in that story, some of the issues, if you were listening, that were really distinctive were the divorce, role confusion, triangulation. I'll explain to you what that means. Unhealthy attachment, generational patterns, jealousy with the inheritance, and lack of validation. One of the things that divorce does, it is something that cracks the foundation of the family. The parents in unity are supposed to be able to show love, commitment, values, forgiveness, all of those things. They're supposed to be the foundation, and they're supposed to model what it looks like to operate in sacrifice and security. When a family divorces, it disrupts the mental and emotional and physical security of the family. And now there's a trust issue, and now there is a brokenness in the unity because children are wonderful at modeling their parents' behavior. So if your parents have decided that there's breakdown and they can't work it out, it creates splitting in the family. It creates disharmony in the family. And one of the anxious responses to divorce among the siblings is that when they argue, there's so much anxiety because they feel like we may split and we may never be able to be together again. So there's a high stake in conflict when you deal with family members who come from divorce.